In this video, we're going to go over some of the aspects of the PAQ. The PAQ, if you hover long enough, provider approval queue. Basically, this is where labs come back in, and depending on how you have things set up, you may have scanned documents such as mammograms and other reports. At our particular office, we actually get our mammogram reports, consult reports, x-ray reports, and what we have chosen to do in our office is actually we just handwrite on the report itself what we want done with it. It gets scanned in and never comes to us through the PAQ, but that way it does end up in the chart. The reason that we did this, one is it's a few less touches for the physician, and secondly, our scanning was falling quite behind, so this way we made sure that the providers all were seeing their information in a timely fashion, and then if it got scanned in a little later, that wasn't as big of a deal. But again, options within an office that you guys can discuss. So anyway, for the PAQ, click to open. I've used a couple of test patients here, that whole HIPAA thing trying to protect. So I've got a couple of these that'll both be hemoglobin A1Cs. Now, when you see this page, you have a couple of options right away. Number one, if you're ready to handle the information, go ahead and accept it. If you really aren't going to be able to figure out what you're going to do with it, but you just wanted to see the number within the context of the chart, you can just hit open, and then you can actually get into the patient's chart. What did I do yesterday, etc., etc., but it remains in your PAQ. So you can always come back and finish off on it later. So with this one, let's go ahead and I'm going to click on accept. It then takes you into your provider test action section, and this is where people get sometimes a little puzzled as to what to do with it. So here's today's reading there. Yes, today's reading that's come in. So now I basically need to decide what I'm going to do with this information. So let's say with this particular patient, I am going to mail them a letter. So you've got a few options here, depending on what you want to do. You've got the click boxes that you can look through. What I've chosen to do that works a little faster for me is I made a list of my phrases. As you can see here, discussed with the patient, letter sent. If the patient's following up for a physical, just a reminder that that's there. Let's say that I'm going to have my MA go ahead and mail this out though. So I've got one here. As you can see, please mail custom lab letter to patient. Now I want to go ahead, for me, I like to make a lab document. So document library, and my preference is the custom lab letter 2. There's others in there to look at, but what I like with this one, I think it just has the nicest, cleanest read to it. Again, personal preference, but that's my opinion. So it's already imported the hemoglobin A1C right here. I can type in, looks good. And then generate your note. So at this point, you have now worked on making actually 2 documents. The first document it made is actually hidden here, and this is sort of the lab action where it shows the raw data. And if you had a whole bunch of other numbers such as a CBC, CMP, this lab action number will show all those numbers, whereas this one, the custom lab letter, is more in a nice, easy to read, patient friendly format. As you can see, everything covered over or came over. Now, as you can also see, this is a document. So let's say you remembered, oh geez, I want to add something else. Well, because it's a document, you can simply start typing here. And then save it, and now you're ready to print this out. Now you've got one of a couple of options. Let's say you wanted to go ahead and print it yourself. Well, you could go hover over the print icon here on the right side of the screen, click on it, it will ask you what printer, and that will take care of things. The other option that I find to be, again, a little bit faster is back here, please mail custom letter to patient. You go down here now and click on Save and Task, and it gives you a list of people to send it to. So I would click on my MA, and then add user, and then now this will go to her and she'll know what to do with it. I really don't want to do that, just don't want to bother her today, but that's how you'd go about it. And then she'd get something in her inbox, and she would be able to open the patient's chart, print out the letter, put it in an envelope, and send it out. Now, another thing that's important to keep in mind, some people also, again, this is a little bit of a patient preference kind of thing. Some people like to send all the numbers. Personally, I find that I get a fair number of messages back, sort of the worried well, wondering why their sodium's 1 point high or their MCV is just a tad high. So I generally just like to send the custom lab letter as opposed to the more detailed documents. Again, that's really up to your preference and what works easiest for you and gets the right message across without creating a lot of extra work for you in the long run. But so if I've gone ahead, I'll scroll down here, so you can see now it's imported what I've asked it to do here, and it's please mail custom lab letter. So that means that it's waiting to happen, and actually you could check back in on this later to see if your MA's actually opened this note and started working on it. If you're done with that point, to close this person's chart out, it's always nice to hit chart complete up here. Now let's go back into the PAQ, and I'll do the other one, but let's say that we're going to send this one out through the patient portal. So again, normally if you've got a long list of things, you'll probably recognize that there's an image over here. Because I used an in-house data point, I didn't send a test patient to LabCorp request, I don't get that visual here. So I'm going to accept on this one. And then this test patient's A1C comes up as well. So again, you need to decide, okay, what am I going to do with this? And for me, I'm going to send this to them through the portal. I can tell down here with this blue icon that this person is up and ready on the portal. So this actually works pretty quick and easy. So in my phrase, I've got something already saying portal message sent. Go ahead, document library for me, custom lab letter 2. Now, you've got a few directions that you could do with this. One, you could just go straight to the patient portal and just send them a regular document like you'd be sending them, say, an email. I sort of like to have an old or have a document in the chart. This does a couple of things. One, it's easy to print out and send. Let's say if I wanted to send it to another provider, it's already there. Either the custom lab letter again or the lab action document. So I've got it this far. You've got a few directions you could go. The fastest way at this point is actually to go click on history, come down to the document itself, right click, and you have the option here, send to patient portal. Click on that. I usually put in a little message, results attached, and I did do a section already on the patient portal, so if you need a deeper dive into this, go watch that one. And then go ahead and send. And it tells you right there, the lab letter was successfully exported to the patient portal. Now, the other way that you could do this is technically you could go into your inbox, go down to the patient portal, compose a new message, draft in this. So it's 5 or 6 extra clicks. Again, in the essence of efficiency, the history, right click, and send to patient portal works a little bit cleaner. And again, I want to move this, I've got it written there, but I want to actually move it down into the action log so that myself or anybody else looking in their chart knows what I actually did with it. So at this point, save or save and complete. These really do the identical thing, so it doesn't matter which one you pick. And go ahead with that. Again, now it's down here. Lets everybody know that I sent a portal message to the patient if they needed to reference that, and then go back up here and chart complete. You can do similar things again when you get information in your PAQ that is an image. Very similarly, you simply need to think about what am I going to do with it? Who do I need to tell to help me do that, whether it's mailing out something or setting up a future appointment, etc. Again, back in that PAQ section where I had my phrases, sometimes I'll actually type messages directly to my medical assistant, such as something like, please call the patient and let her know her urinalysis looked great, and send it off to my nurse. So a lot of different ways that you can handle this. Hopefully this gives you some degree of clarity. Probably a lot of things you can do with the PAQ that seems to cause some confusion. So if there's any direct or more specific questions about it, by all means reach out to me. And again, with any of these videos that I'm doing, give me some feedback and let me know what I can do better. Thanks.